I know what you all want to talk about. So let's go ahead and get it over with. Do y'all really think Jerry Jones is going to let Micah Parsons walk out of the door? If you look at the track record of Jerry Jones with Dak Prescott, with CeeDee Lamb, there's no way he's going to allow for Micah Parsons to walk out of the door. Now, Jerry, pulling some sneaky, underhanded negotiation tactics don't really bode well for you. Negotiating a contract with a player without their agent there just doesn't seem ethical to me. I understand why Micah Parsons' agent decided, no, this is not what you're going to sign, one. And two, if you think you're going to sign that, what we're going to do is go back and look over it with a fine-tooth comb and start all the way over, which is what Jerry Jones doesn't want to do. But at the end of the day, Micah Parsons is probably the second or third best edge defender in the league. At least that's how he's viewed, right? There's Myles Garrett, there's TJ Watt, and there's Micah Parsons Jr. The difference between those three, Micah Parsons Jr. There's Micah Parsons. The difference between those three is Micah Parsons is 25, 26 years old. He'll be 26 during the season. He's just now entering his prime, and he's probably the third best edge rusher in the league. So I can't imagine that you don't pay Micah Parsons top 3 defensive edge rusher in the league. And I understand why he's saying he wants to be one of the top 2 highest paid edge rushers. Myles Garrett is Myles Garrett. Cool. But again, Micah is 26. You have to pay for what you expect. He's already outplayed his rookie contract. He's on a Hall of Fame trajectory. Shout out to Bomani Jones and Dominique Foxworth, who pointed this out that I didn't really realize. I did realize, but I guess making it plain is what it needs to like turn on the light bulb. Micah Parsons Jr. is on a Hall of Fame trajectory. I don't know how Jerry Jones is allowed. Well, not allowed. I know you could keep the team anyway. But I don't know how you don't run him off if he lets Micah Parsons walk out of the door. But if he does, if Micah Parsons does actually leave, the Falcons have been mentioned as one of the teams to look out for to get Micah Parsons. We have assets. We have a little bit of money. And when I say a little bit of money, I mean a little bit of money. But we've made some interesting moves, or an interesting move, to free up about $11 million in cap space, and that was extending Caleb McGarry. So by extending Caleb McGarry on 2 years, $30 million, and spreading some of that money out, we have now created $10.6 million of extra cap space, which gives us $15 million in cap space, according to Over the Cap. What does that mean? Yeah, we know Micah Parsons wants 40, right? But if you do trade for him, if you're at Raheem and Terry Fontenot, you do have a plus 15. So now you really ought to need to do is create $25 million in cap space, which, because our team is so young, I don't know who that person would be other than probably Kyle Pitts. I'd assume maybe Ebiketie would go. They're talking about Braylon Trice, and then maybe Algier, plus a couple picks. 1 pick and a pick swap, if I'm not mistaken. That's a lot to give up for Micah Parsons, knowing that you have to sign him to a 4-year, $160 million contract. We haven't done well with being able to negotiate or handle the salary cap. The previous regime kept kicking the can down the road with Julio and Matt Ryan, which is you kind of got to do because Julio arguably the best receiver in the league while he was playing, and then Matt Ryan was a top 10, top 5 quarterback. So you had to pay them. But it took us a couple years to get out of that cap hell. So we don't want to necessarily go back in unless it's a sure thing. But would I go back in for Micah Parsons? Absolutely. Y'all let me know in the comments, and let me know while we're talking, what would you give up for Micah Parsons Jr., or would you let him pass? Because we have a deep defense all of the sudden, which we'll get to. But we have a deep defense, y'all. And at this point, I really want to see what the young guys do. Not gonna lie to you. I want to see that. There's been so much hype about JPJ, James Pierce Jr., Jalen Walker, who is basically in the mold of Micah Parsons. And then you have all of the other role players that are already here, plus guys that are coming off the injured reserve. So I don't know if I necessarily would give up that much for Micah Parsons and pay him that much. Now, Micah, final thought, y'all, I promise. Now, Micah, if you come over here for 35, 38, 37, somewhere in there, that could work. Or we get rid of, somehow Kirk Cousins has to come into this equation. Because if you get rid of Kirk Cousins, then all of a sudden you don't have to really get rid of anybody else. The thing is, if you try to get rid of Kirk Cousins and on the third team, you now have Michael Penix Jr. and nobody else at quarterback. Emory Jones and Easton Stick, which we'll talk about. So while Kirk Cousins probably is the answer money-wise, you got to figure out where you could make that work. We'll keep an eye on it, but I'm not going to get my hopes up for Micah Parsons. But I will say that extension of Caleb McGarry and freeing up $10 million to give us 15 tells me that there is something in the works. I don't know what it is. I don't know who it is, but we're going to get somebody. I just don't know who it is yet. We will keep up with it. All right. So we're done. We've covered Micah Parsons. Everybody has been talking about Micah Parsons all summer. Let's get back to who we have on the team. So let's go over training camp. Training camp update. Again, shout out to Falcons Formula for all of this news, compiling all of these news and notes from all of our Falcons insiders.